I don't care about the world, but I'm not ready to accept that I'm going through depression. I think there's that acceptance phase as well, where people maybe know that something is wrong, but they're not accepting it. So again, now a lot of people say they've had panic attacks, right? Now, let me ask you, is a panic attack the same as an anxiety attack, or again, is it different? Because I think I also feel that there are so many terms when it comes to mental health, and that is also something that confuses people. For an example, I could have anxiety for in a certain situation, or I'm pretty sure I've had and dealt with my anxieties, and I think that is why, and that is how the two of us met. But I think because when you go and tell someone that I've had an anxiety that, or I am dealing with anxiety, I think people take it in a very negative way. And they start thinking, oh, this person is not mentally okay, blah, blah, blah. But they don't realize, I think, that even in mental health, there are stages to everything. But I think also there are too many terms. Like, personally, I also feel that I don't know if panic attack is the same as anxiety attack, or are they two different things? Are those two words the same again? Do they mean the same?
A panic attack is very short-lived. It's for that moment,
Mm-hmm.
literally that moment. It could be 3 minutes, it could be 2 minutes, it could be 5 minutes. Okay? It comes, it goes, you get on.
Okay.
It could be situational. You could feel panic, let's say momentarily, when you're just about to go and start this video and say, oh shit, I'm talking about this, but I'm not prepared enough.
So would you
And
say
for those,
your brain goes into a blank mode, like when people say they became blank, they just became blank. They just
oh,
forgot everything. Would that would you consider that
not
something
necessarily
like
a panic attack. A panic attack would be a little bit more than just going blank. But yes,
that?
it
Okay.
is part of the symptoms. Either you feel like you're frozen,
Mm-hmm.
or you feel like, you need to go and take a pee because you just need a few more minutes to think about this. Um, so, freezing or going blank is a part of both panic attack and anxiety, but it's not the only predominant symptom,
Okay. And what is an
right? It's
anxiety
just
attack?
your brain in a panic attack, your brain is just kind of telling you, okay, you're not really ready. And yet you are. On the other hand, an anxiety episode is a lot more long-standing. It's
Okay.
something you're constantly feeling. You feel it 2, 3 times a week. Some people feel it 2, 3 times a day. Anxiety comes with many different manifestations. People feel heart palpitations. When it's severe anxiety, some people feel like, oh my God, I think I'm having a heart attack.
Hmm?
That's how much their heart is overbeating and they've got a high pulse rate. Um, Other people doing anxiety feel like, they suddenly start sneezing or having almost like an asthma attack, have breathing difficulties, excessive sweating. So those are some of the symptoms of an anxiety episode.
Okay.
And they inherently last a lot longer
Okay.
and keep a lot more frequently.
Okay. So from what I understand is that you can start with a panic attack, then it goes into anxiety, and then the final stage is, of course, the depression, the whole saga of the depression, where you're depressed and you don't feel like getting out of bed. I think that can are those the stages that lead to
And
depression,
not
or
necessarily, you don't necessarily could lead to depression. People have depression without feeling anxious completely.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
where
then,
you've
what
just
are the symptoms,
lonely.
or how can a person judge? Like, if today I'm going through depression, how can someone look at me and say, okay, no, something's wrong? Or, without having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, how can one help the other person who's actually going through depression?
Person with depression is somebody who you know has been unable to function for 2 or more weeks, basically.
Okay, so when you say function, do you mean
That
basic things?
means somebody, basic things, not been able to take a shower, unable to eat properly, um, unable to get out of bed. They've let themselves go completely. So either they're eating all the wrong foods or they're not eating at all. They're sleeping too much or not sleeping at all, you know?
So it's an
So if this
extreme
goes on,
situation.
total extreme situation, and if
Okay.
this goes on for 2+ weeks at a go, every single day, 24 hours a day, every day that follows, then it's more than just generalized anxiety.
Okay. So,
Okay.
okay. So from that, I understand that for 2 or more weeks, if somebody is not normal or they're not able to do normal tasks, then somebody can be considered that they're going through depression, not undergoing. So that leads me to something else. What can happen if depression is left untreated? So let's say I can see this person, or I know somebody I love is going through depression, but I don't tell them, I don't take them to the doctor, I don't do anything about it. What can happen in that case scenario?
You don't know if they're going through depression?
No, if I know that they are going through depression, but there's nothing I'm doing about it, I just take it as normal. Or for me, let's just say I'm a layman who doesn't know depression exists. I just feel this person is tired and this person doesn't want to do anything. I just take it as normal and do nothing about it. Then what happens? What can it lead to?
How does it feel normal when somebody's in a low mood and unable to get out of bed?
I look
How would you define
personally
that
for
as
me,
lazy?
I think I wouldn't take it as normal. But I think there would be people out there who might take it as normal, or who maybe know that this person is going through depression but cannot do anything because maybe this person doesn't think that they're going through depression. Let's say an example, if tomorrow I don't feel like waking up for 2 weeks, and I feel like, you know what, I don't care about the world, but I'm not ready to accept that I'm going through depression. I think there's that acceptance phase as well, where people maybe know that something is wrong, but they're not accepting it. So again, that then what happens?
So if a patient or a client is unable to accept that they've got a problem, there's nothing anybody can do, right?
What can that then lead up to?
Or
Can
you
it
can't
lead
even
up to
force them
death?
you can't even force them to come into my clinic to see me if they don't accept to see me.
Yes.
So it can not lead necessarily up to death, but it will invariably lead you to other lifestyle diseases.
Hmm.
So,
Which eventually then leads up to that
take
point,
you
right?
into a doctor's office, yeah.
Can it lead up to suicide?
Um, a lot of people going through depression do have thoughts of self-harm because it is linked in a way directly with your ideation and your thought process. So many a times when you talk about suicide, and actually Suicide Day, October is part of Suicide Month. September was Suicide Month.
That's
Um,
not very far.
yeah. And people who have certain thoughts around self-harm are more often than not depressed at some point in their life.
So, when you say more often than depressed, does that mean that they could be depressed, but they're still going on with their routine, maybe in a sluggish manner, but maybe on and off, they don't feel like doing certain things, but they are going through depression, not necessarily that they've been in bed for 2 weeks or they don't feel like doing anything,
Absolutely.
but could
Yeah,
they still be going through depression?
yeah, you can have a fully functional depressed person.
So, in that case,
People have
what do I
evolved.
look out for?
There are many signs. They withdraw. Eventually, they withdraw. You will see somebody who will constantly be talking about death or constantly be referring to, oh, when I'm not here,
Hmm.
when I've gone away, things like that. They'll keep saying words that lead you to think like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
where are you going? Are you sick? Um, People who think about suicide also have tried it in the past. So you'll find that they've got marks on their body or their hands, their legs, etc., etc. Um, so there are very many different things that can happen. They take into habits that are not necessarily healthy, alcohol, drugs, gambling, shopping, eating, things like that, and you realize they're unusually either totally angry and irritable. There's nothing you can do correctly, and you're wondering now, what is this, Like, this shouldn't anger you. It's something so normal. Why is
Yeah.
it getting you so angry, agitatedly angry or aggressive? So there are lots of situations like that.
Okay. Okay. Interesting to know. So in a nutshell, you panic attack is probably the beginning of things. Anxiety attack or anxiety is level two, and then not necessarily you will reach depression, but depression is definitely the most black stage of the mental health, right? Okay. Now, there's something else that I think people also get confused with, which is what is the difference between a therapist and a psychologist?
So a therapist is somebody who's done predominantly counseling. So it's a lot of talk therapy
Mhm.
or things like that. A psychologist has got a lot more formal education. They've got different techniques that they use consistently as treatment protocols and plans. So you could go do an 8-week course and come out and say, I'm a counselor now and I'm ready to see a patient. And a psychologist has gone through and done an entire degree of 4 years plus 200 hours training to under supervision in order to come up with proper treatment protocols, proper diagnosis tools, etc., etc.
So basically,
Counseling,
so I can say tomorrow I can decide to become a therapist for someone, for a friend, and talk them through their journey, but I cannot give them any other diagnosis or medications for that matter, right? Okay.
no, and you have no treatment protocol.
Yes, understood.
You're
Okay, so
only
basically,
listening.
I would consider a psychologist to be a doctor of the brain, just like a
Correct.
neurologist. I presume they would work hand in hand with a neurologist at the end of the day.
Psychiatrists and neurologists. Yeah.
Psychiatrist. So, oh, so there's another word as well, psychiatrist. So, what is again the difference between them?